Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the DCI number 960 in a US4 finish. And the 960 is a single automatic flush bolt. The 960 is comprised of the following components. There's the body of the flush bolt as seen here. When the trigger on the edge of the door activates the bolt, or the body, it will project the bolt out. The unit in the edge of the door, with this trigger, this is a top bolt, so you get the concept of how this is going to work. The mechanism just slides together. Once it's slid all the way on, every time the door is closed, that's engaged. Okay? Every time the active door opens, at least the top portion will be unlocked. Now, this is in the US4 finish, which means satin brass. That's the plate for the edge of the active door, so that every time the door closes, it will not mar the edge of the door. The trigger will make contact with just the plate. You will have the finished cover for the trigger plate. Okay. And obviously the strike plate that will be mounted up into the header. All will be in the complementary satin brass finish, as will be the screws. There is and this is available in all of the common finishes, your brass, your bronze, your chromes, oil rubbed as well. There is a link below this video to a document called Template that will allow you to review the machining requirements of the 960. The 962 is a set of bolts, 962, whereas the 960 again is just the single bolt. Okay. And there's also a link to a document called Template that's there for you to review, and it's also included with the hardware. Now, the 960 is a top bolt only, and is going to be used when you have a pair of fire-rated wood doors. This is when you'd use a 960. There is a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure that will allow you to review all of the DCI flush bolts in a consolidated sort of format. Now, the template that is included and the one that is linked to down below are, of course, the same document. They do allow you to review the dimensional requirements when it comes to machining for this piece of hardware. Flush bolts, in my experience, especially when they're a wood door type flush bolt and you're installing them on a wood door, are easy to install. And what I mean by that is sometimes you'll have flush bolts that are installed onto wood doors that are really intended for steel doors, and they can still be mortised and installed usually, but if you've got a wood door, stick with the wood door flush bolts because you'll find prepping it to be far easier. Now, if it's a fire-rated door, obviously you're going to want to have, if it's a new installation, the door supplier do the preparation for that. But let's talk about the installation of this because it's fairly simple and straightforward. The installation instructions or template are really one and the same, and what I mean by that is they give you all the dimensional properties of the item. You need to make your door look like the drawing. It's just the simple bottom line fact of the matter. You've got a couple of preparations that are going to be called the body prep, and then a couple of preparations that will be the plate prep. And what I mean by the body prep is if you were to look at the link to the template, the bottom of page 1, and page 2 would be good installation instructions, in fact, as would page 3 be. Let's look at page 1 first, the bottom half of page 1. When you're going to be mortising for this, the template's going to give you the length, the width, and the thickness of the plate. It's going to give you the dimensional properties, which is actually in the upper right-hand corner of the site. And apparently what they're saying is you need 2 holes that are 1.1 diameter. And you'll have a couple of different depths that you'll drill those at. For the top of the door, you're going to, in the upper right-hand corner, 4 5/8 deep is what you're going to drill all the way down. Keep in mind that the width of this plate is also 1.1. So you're going to want to make sure that that butterfly bit or whatever you use doesn't make that hole a bit ovalized. 4 5/8 deep, 1.1. Then for the edge of the door, lower left-hand corner of page 1, 1.1 diameter bit, 2 1/4 deep, will give you the second hole. Now you can really kind of fit the body in, and then you can fit this trigger mechanism in the edge of the door. Then you basically just have to route for the rectangular plates. So the body prep is really nothing other than an 1.1 hole, 4 5/8 deep, 1.1 hole, 2 1/4 inch deep. Square the corners per the width, pardon me, the height, 2 1/4 by 1.1 for the edge plate. Okay. Then for the top of the door, okay, for the top of the door, you're going to have, again, 1.1, as we said earlier, 2 1/4. Okay. Then you've got the thickness, and that's where I think the caliper comes into good play with this. And this plate is captive because you don't want the inner workings escaping during transit. So they'll zip tie those down for you, and you'll remove those. Now, the thickness of the top plate, 5/32, very typical and common. The plate in the edge of the door, I don't immediately see where that is called out. Oh, it is. Lower right-hand corner, 5/32. So the face plates of these two are obviously identical. The depths are identical. And at that point, once you square the corners, your installation's done. Okay. Well, your prep is done, really. You'll go down to page 2 is going to show you your installation. Obviously, the body's got to go in and down first because these two mechanisms literally need to slide together, as we had demonstrated early on. Okay. Moving through the rest of page 2, remove the tie and install the bolt housing. Okay. Step 2, slide the edge in, install that. Step 3, adjust bolt head from a 0 to a 1/16 of an inch above. You'll be able to manipulate the height, the projection of that. You want this sticking out ever so slightly so that it doesn't fall inside. And you'll notice that it is a D-shaped, as is the plate, and that will prevent it from rotating with use and over time. Step 4, install the finish plate over the edge of the door. And then finally, you'll install the scar plate on the edge of the active door, which again Okay. Then, of course, your strike will get installed. Keep note of the special requirement in terms of the 1.5" dimension from the edge of the door, which is shown on page 3, to the vertical center line of the bolt, and that will give you a reference as to where the strike needs to be prepped. Keep in mind you're measuring off the edge of the door, and if you're going from the center, let's say you had a 6-foot opening and you went to 36-inch, add half of the margin between the two doors plus the 1.5", and that would give you your center line if you were measuring from the center line of the jamb. So compensate for that is what I'm trying to say. Some troubleshooting that's there as well, and then the final page will get into the firebolt detail if you have a firebolt installation, which the 960 does not include. A firebolt would be a temperature activated bolt that would secure the two doors in the event of a fire. That's how that works. Very nice quality material from DCI. Very reliable, very predictable, very good quality, a confluence of exceptional fit and finish. A company that I like to work with and wish I could work with more of. They have a relatively petite footprint within the industry. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can review not only all of the DCI products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, where you can pull up all the things that DCI does. And if you know of them, you might know them for their flush bolts and their other trim and auxiliary hardware like door stops, but they have a proprietary line of exit devices under the Panex name, and it's possible if you are in the construction industry, you may have seen that name in a specification when it comes to exit devices. I'm partial to DCI, and it's because I like their quality. I like their nimble, industry-leading ship lead times, and very pleasant people to work with. If you have any questions on the DCI 960 top flush bolt, auto flush bolt for a wood door application, fire rated, or any other DCI product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.